Good morning. Hey there. I'm Justin Leoy from Park Slope Therapist, and I wanted to talk today about expectations that seem to become part of who we are and how we can change that when they're actually making us pretty miserable. I was in Prospect Park the other day, and there were some construction guys working on the pavilion near the skating rink. And it's not something I would usually even notice, except that I heard the familiar voice of Idina Menzel singing "Let It Go" from Frozen, as it was the music they were playing. And that was interesting enough. But then I saw one of the workers, tool belt, sweaty, had his mask on, and with his arms outstretched was just belting the chorus along with the music. And none of the other workers were even looked up. It was great. It made me think about how awesome it would have been if I could have let go of some masculine stereotypes that I had just taken in from a young age. Letting go was so difficult because, well, first it takes self-knowledge to know that I wanted something else. And then there was the risk of the shame or the consequences of losing what I did have if I was to let go of that thing. Losing fears of losing respect or support or even relationships with families and friends. See, I grew up in a pretty stereotypically gendered community, and there were several activities I was just expected to do, and I wasn't given choices. Like I enrolled in soccer, baseball, and basketball. I took golf lessons. I was in the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. And it wasn't that I was against any of these things to begin with, but there weren't any other choices offered. It seemed to be it was what you did if you were a boy in Yonkers, at least in my family. And slowly, my identity seemed to be about how good I was at these things. Golfing was an interesting thing here because the men in my family golfed. And the first, and I think the only all-male family vacation I went on was with my dad and other family members to Florida to go golfing. And at the end of the day, I just wasn't very good. My problem with golfing was that I would aim straight, but that the ball always went to the right. It's called a slice. And another of my uncles was determined to help me with this. And one day he took me to the driving range. So Uncle George was the uncle that fished and hunted. He did woodworking. He made this huge, amazing treehouse in his backyard. He was the uncle you called when you had a loose tooth because he's the only one we trusted to tie a string around it and pull. At the driving range that day, we tried all kinds of things. Gripping the club higher, lower, remove my stance this way, that way. Nothing at all seemed to help. But Uncle George, an extremely patient man that I did not want to let down, and he did not give up. I certainly wasn't going to. And in my exasperated attempt to just get it right, I guess I took loosen up on your grip a little too literally, and the golf club just sailed onto the green. I looked at Uncle George with fear about what I'd done, and his first response was to note how the club went incredibly straight. Well, this wasn't the first time Uncle George's patience had been tried with me. Years before, he had taken me fishing, and while waiting for the bite that finally came, my response was not to reel it in right away, but somehow I managed to let go of the pole, and it flew into the water. Well, we had somehow recovered that fishing pole years before. We were able to get back to the golf club. And neither time did Uncle George look angry. But Uncle George had also given me his prized pocket knife when I was a kid, and this was something to use in Boy Scouts and to take on camping trips. These were trips that I often spent crying in my tent at night because, well, to this day, I don't think humans are really meant to sleep in places without security systems and working bathrooms. Well, I had the knife on me when I spent an hour setting up that tent. I had it on me when I was carving the stick for my s'mores that night, and I certainly had it on me when I went to sleep that night just in case a bear or a raccoon or, I don't know, a bird, squirrel tried to attack me in the tent. But I did not have it when I got back home. And I remember this fear of disappointing Uncle George when I had to tell him I lost that knife. And the only thing more difficult was also telling him that I didn't want to be a Boy Scout anymore. I want to golf, baseball, basketball, soccer, that I just had other interests. And true to form, there were no tremendous consequences to this, no withholding of support or anything else. Uncle George was with the rest of the family at the plays that I did, and then came to my senior recital when I graduated college. I think he was laughing the loudest. So maybe it was my unconscious trying to give me a message when I let go of the fishing pole, the golf club, the pocket knife. Letting go of expectations for me was difficult, and it's something for us all to keep in mind when we think about what subtle or not so subtle expectations we put on our kids. But my work is with adult men. So much of it is examining what we haven't yet let go of. Often it's just a matter of realizing that we're allowed to, we have choices. So much of therapy is looking at patterns that just emerge again and again. It's helping people realize that we don't have to do it the way we thought. And other people may not like it when we choose something differently. But if you do so, I hope you get a similar response to what I got years ago.